I couldn't get any of my air conditioners to run off of the 767. Now let me fire up the AC. And we have a red light, and it says hot, neutral, reversed. This thing is fantastic. It's done everything I've asked of it. I know this is a long video, and I've left all of the chapters down below, so if you guys want to just skip ahead to whatever's important to you, you'll find that in the description. I just teased all of the problems that I had with the 767 in the making of this video, which has spanned 6 months. The reason the video is so long is because a lot has happened and a lot has changed. Anker definitely had a few bumps in the road for this product release, but at the end, they made a great unit. So make sure you watch to the end, or at least skip forward to the end, so that you can see the actual conclusions of the video. All right, back to the video. Hey guys, today I'm going to be testing and reviewing the Anker 767 PowerHouse portable power station. But before we get into it, I'd like to thank Anker for sponsoring this video and sending out their 767 PowerHouse for me to test and review. In the past, I did a review video of the Anker 757, and I'll leave a link to that down in the description, but the 767 has some impressive upgrades and improvements that make it the unit to get. The 767 comes packed with 2,048 watt-hours of lithium iron phosphate battery cells. Anker promotes the 767 as the longest lasting power station on the market, and that is due to the lithium iron phosphate battery chemistry that they use. Lithium iron phosphate offers significantly more recharge cycles than other lithium chemistries on the market, and Anker is backing the 767 with an impressive 5-year warranty. They're also advertising that this unit is designed to have at least a 10-year lifespan. That means that you could fully charge and discharge this unit almost every single day for 10 years. This is the world's first gallium nitride powered portable power station, also known as GaN Prime. It's ultra efficient. It has a durable unibody suitcase design and a convenient handle for toting it around. The 767 comes with Bluetooth connectivity and a very easy to use app to control it. I'm going to show you that later in the video. Given the sturdy case design, the high quality wheels, and their long lifespan cooling fans, I don't see any reason why this unit wouldn't last at least 10 years of normal usage. In fact, I'm so impressed with the 767 that this is the power station I'm going to be keeping to power our adventures and to run my little trailer. Another welcome change is that it comes with a TT30 RV socket. This is your standard 30 amp RV plug, which I'm going to also demonstrate later in the video. It boasts a full 2,048 watt-hours of capacity and a 2,400 watt inverter. 2,400 watts is enough to power 99% of the appliances and power tools that you're going to come across. It's certainly going to be enough to charge any of the devices that you might need to charge. But if you don't need a power station quite this large, check out the Anker 521, 535, 555, and 757. So I've already unboxed the unit, I've taken out the manual, and all the included accessories. It comes with the main AC power cord. This is for connecting up to 1,000 watts of solar power. So you connect your 5 solar panels to this. That means they must be each 200 watts. And then this connects to the back. And you can use this cable to charge the 767 from any PowerPoint or cigarette lighter style charging port. Now, one of the first tests I like to do is an overload test. I know that this is capable of putting out 2,400 watts of continuous power, but it's going to have a little bit of surge power above that, and then if you go beyond that, what happens? I'm always curious to see what the peak output is and what happens after it trips out. How do I reset it and how does it recover? So for that test, I have a hairdryer and a 1,500 watt heater. So I'm going to plug this heater in and the hairdryer. We're going to turn the AC outlets on, and I'm just going to fire up the heater. You can see it's climbing. It's at 1340 right now. Now I'm going to turn the hairdryer on low. So it is drawing 1765. I'm going to go to high. All right, so that is the cooling fan. It just came on high and it shut off. So if you listen to this, when I turn this on, it dips down. You can hear it start to ramp back up. And my guess is that the inverter is almost like shifting gears. It's going from efficiency mode to high power mode. And at the same time, the cooling fan for this kicks on. Hello again. So it's actually 6 months later. Right now as I'm recording this, it is Sunday, June 4th, and I have a bit of a story to tell you about the review of the 767. Now I've had the unit for almost 6 months. I got it at the end of December 2022. I started recording the video and doing all the testing, and I ran into a little bit of a problem, which I will explain in a couple of minutes. But first, I just want to correct what I said in here. When the power station gets close to overloading, it actually lowers the output voltage to keep it in the sweet spot so it doesn't overload. So let me do this again. We're going to go low. Then I'm going to go to high and listen to the noise as it ramps up. Dips down. Cranks up. Now the cooling fans are on. And oh boy, I'm not getting enough power draw. I need more power. So it's handling 2233 with no problem. I need more power. However, this can be a problem for some really sensitive electronics. A lot of electronics can handle low voltage, like resistance items, say hair dryers and heaters, and also laptops or anything with a DC power brick, because the input voltage on those is usually somewhere between, I think, 50 volts and 200 volts. It has a wide range of voltages that are acceptable. But there are some electronics out there that require a pretty steady voltage, and that might be an issue if you're running close to the overload capacity, which I think is 2400 watts. So it dips down to 80 volts. And then the fan on this kicks on. Shut that off, goes right back to 120. I did plenty of testing on this. I'm gonna save you all the time. When you start getting over 2300 watts, it lowers the output voltage, and that's so that the power station can continue powering the loads, but it just reduces the output voltage, and it actually keeps the wattage within spec. I found out that that's how most power stations handle this. Rather than just tripping, they regulate the output voltage, and that's a completely normal way that they handle getting close to overloading. Now, I did overload this unit, but it took 3 electric heaters. It took 2 heaters and a hair dryer. So let me show you that next. So I had to do a little searching, but I found another electric heater. I'm gonna plug this in. We're starting at 1400 watts, which is just this heater. Putting out 2100 watts. Now, what happens if I fire up the hair dryer? I'm gonna go to low. 2500 watts. It's still running. Let me go to high on this. Oh, and it just tripped out. Okay, so it says overload. Let me try to turn this on. Nope, it won't let me turn the inverter on. So it says overload. My guess is it has to cool down. Flashing overload. Let's see how long it takes. Now it's off. Let me try to turn the inverter on. That's it. So, oops, forgot to turn that off. So about, I don't know, 10 or 15 seconds to reset. The 767 successfully did an overload protection, so I can take these out and we're gonna go do some other tests. Plopped it on my trusty golf cart. Sasha and I are currently staying at Dinosaur Valley RV Park, so I'm going to drive around a little bit and see what I can power with the 767. I'm gonna plug this 8-inch bench grinder in and see how it performs. We're down to 66% after testing with the heaters. Here we go. So 2000 watts, So then back right down to a running wattage of like 240 watts. So one of the little details that I love is it has sticky rubber feet on it, so it does not slide around. Even going over bumps and stuff, it stays pretty well planted. One of the questions that I get frequently is, how can you power your Starlink off-grid? We are starting at 65%. Let me plug it in. Let me turn the inverter on. And it will give me an approximate time calculation. Starlink takes a few minutes to start up. It's currently drawing 100 watts, 23 watts. It kind of goes through its startup procedure. We're going to give it a few minutes. Starlink is online. I'm going to do a speed test to make sure we're fully connected. Looks like under load it actually draws a little bit more power. So it looks like this goes between, say, 30 and 40 watts. So based on this, I would say a full battery, of course we're at 65%. The 767 could probably run the Starlink for about 30 hours, maybe 35 hours. That is pretty good. So you can get a day out of it. If you were to hook up a solar panel to it, I think you'd be able to run it continuously. 200 watts coming in for 5 or 6 hours a day, and then you only had 30, 26, 30, 40 watts going out, then you should be able to run it continuously. So this would be a great off-grid solution to run a Starlink or any other, fairly small appliance continuously. A fridge, something like that. A couple solar panels and you'd be good to go. With the ability to add up to 1,000 watts of solar on this, you could run a cabin, an RV. I feel like this would be an excellent replacement for a built-in lithium power system. You can add on another expansion battery, an additional 2,048 watt hours. That would give you a total of 4,096 watt hours of lithium iron phosphate batteries. I have this little utility trailer that I use as kind of an office, some storage, and a little workshop. I have my charging station over here with all my batteries, and as you can see, batteries are pretty dead. They've been sitting here, they haven't been charging, and I also have a standard RV battery on this. I have a standard WIFCO box in here with a converter in here, so as soon as I plug that 30 amp cord in, this is going to start charging the batteries, as well as all my other batteries, which I'm in desperate need of. So let me plug this in. And now I'm going to plug it into this handy dandy TT30 socket. My WIFCO box just came on. Look at that. It's drawing, well, 330 watts, 400 watts. Got my, my chargers going. Now I'm going to completely drain the battery and then do a full recharge. I'm going to leave this to charge my camper battery as well as the power tools over here. But to speed the process up, I want to put this heater on low, drawing about 1,000 watts. So while I drain the battery, why don't we talk about the app? I've already downloaded the Anker app from the App Store, and it's this one right here. You can see that logo. So the first thing you need to do is press the IoT button until it comes on. You can see it's flashing here and here. That means that now we can go into the app and do add devices, or I'm going to skip it. It sees it. It sees it successfully. That was simple. Just hit done, and here it is. So it shows me remaining use time is 1 hour, which is the same over there. 55%, 75 degrees, and it shows you the status of your inputs and outputs. For instance, the carport, I can turn that on, and you'll see that this light comes on, and then I can turn it off, and you can see it goes off. So I'm just going to plug in USB-C cable. All of these are rated for, I believe, 100 or 60 watts, one or the other. So it detects it. Look at that, that's pretty cool. So just plugging it in, not even having something connected, it knows that it's in. You'll see it come on right here. And then I'll plug this in. It tells you exactly how many watts each port. That is really amazing, actually. I've never seen a portable power station that gives you a per port wattage. It's always like as a group of USB ports. So that's kind of nice. So then of course we have the light up here, which I used a couple times while I was on my little trip. You can adjust the brightness using the app, which I think is great. You can also turn on power saving mode. My understanding with power saving mode is that it puts the power station into low power mode, and it will shut off the inverter or the car sockets or anything else once it detects that something is fully charged. So if I was charging, let's say my drone, once it reached full power, it would detect that and then shut off the ports. My biggest dislike with the Anker 757 was that the display had like a 5-second timeout and you couldn't adjust it. Now with this, you can go to settings and you can actually change your recharge speeds between silent recharge and high-speed recharge. The difference is that this will turn the fan on for cooling. Silent recharge will charge slower, but it will not engage the fan. I'm going to leave it on high speed for now. We have light SOS mode, which I don't really need, but if you were in an emergency situation and you could put this outside, you can turn it on, and it does SOS. Now, screen brightness I set to high because I'm making the video, but you can turn it all the way down to low. I mean, you can turn it off, and you gotta save, so that's off. So screen brightness, let's say we want to just do low, hit save, you can come on. And then by default it's on medium, which I think is adequate. On a bright day you might want to bring it up to high. And there you go. So the other thing I really liked was screen timeout. I have it set for 30 minutes right now because I'm making the video, but you can set it as low as 20 seconds, so the display will come on and then shut off in 20 seconds. I'm going to leave it for 30 minutes right now. You can name your device, so if you had more than one, you could name multiple devices. Comes default with its own name. You can change it between Fahrenheit and Celsius. Also, one of the first things I did was when I received the unit, I did a firmware update, and that worked very easily. I should have recorded it, but I forgot. So now I'm going to get some stuff plugged in. I got a MacBook, plug that into the USB-C. iPhone plugged in. Got my AirPods charger. iPad Mavic 2 drone. Nat is going to use one of these car sockets. Got to turn this on though. And you know what? Just for good measure, I got an Apple Watch charger I can plug in here. Now let's go back to the app so you can see what my phone is taking 8 watts. The laptop is taking 35. The iPad is taking 29. The drone battery is taking 50 watts. So that's pretty cool. That's quite a bit. I still have a half an hour before this is dead, so I'm going to let everything charge up and I'll check back with you guys shortly. There it is. I'm going to get it set up to do a full recharge. So I got this plugged in. I'm going to hit start. And it's charging already at 264 watts. So it started right away. And it appears that during the early phases of the charging, when it's really low, it starts low and then it ramps up after that. 25 seconds in, we will come back in a little while and see how it's doing. We are at 57%. It is charging at 1440 watts and saying 0.7 hours left. And we've got 1.26 kilowatt hours in, right at an hour. So I would say it's 1 hour to roughly 60%, about another half an hour supposedly to 80%. So we'll see. 1440 watts of charging is 1395 watts of input. There's obviously a margin of error for both of these readouts, so I don't know which is correct. But anyways, it seems to be working exactly as it should. Also, so the fan is running, the cooling fan. You can hear it on this side. And then also, this is where the actual fan is, so it's a little noisier over here. It's kind of hard to tell what the fan noise is on the camera. It's audible, but it's really not that loud. I would say it's exactly what I would expect out of a device like this. Also, just so you know, I'm keeping these devices charged with the battery bank over there. I wouldn't want to plug it into that because that would affect the numbers. So 90% in an hour and 33 minutes is pretty good. That's actually faster than what they say, which is 80% in an hour and a half. So I'll be really curious to see what it takes to get to a full charge. All right, we're up to 99%. The charge is tapered down to just about 500 watts right now. I think it's pretty close to done. 100%. So an hour and 51 minutes and 33 seconds. That's impressive. So Anker advertises the 767 as reaching 80% in an hour and a half and 100% in 2 hours. And this beat it. It drew 2.26 kilowatt hours, and I believe that based on losses involved in charging and some other factors, that is spot on. That's exactly what it should be. We're at 0 kilowatt hours. I reset the timer on the iPad and the inverter's on. So let me just turn the heater on. I'm gonna also start this. I have the heater set on medium and it's running at about 780 watts, 790 watts. We're about 1 minute and 15 seconds into it. All right, down to 2%. There it is, 2 hours, 10 minutes. I'll have to look back on it. It looked like about 1.84, 1.83 kilowatt hours. Of the 2,048 watt hours, you're looking at about 10% loss just to the inverter. So that's going to be 200 watt hours. So I would say that's just about spot on. That is almost perfect. This is our Cirrus truck camper. All right, so since I have a narrow entryway, I wouldn't recommend doing this, but I'm gonna lift this whole thing just by the wheel handle. I'm gonna just drag it in here. I think it handled that pretty well. Now, we get the sun setting. So to make this a little easier, I'm gonna bring the cord in here. That way I can control the appliances in a nice, quiet, wind-free environment. So let me plug this in. All right, so we're drawing about 384 watts. Let me do convection oven for 350. We're gonna start it up. Shoots up to about 1,760 watts. I could run the convection oven for 0.6 hours. So at a full charge, I could run it for about an hour. Everyone loves to see the air conditioner test. All right, so the fridge is off. Let's see what the camper's drawing right now. So about 95 watts. I just, a few things, microwaves on, stuff like that. So, gonna do the low fan. That draws 100 watts. Gonna do high fan. That's like 150 watts, because again, remember we were drawing 90 watts just being plugged in. So now let me fire up the AC. Brrr. All right, I'm gonna pop into my trailer now and we're gonna talk a little bit more about some of the features and some of the problems that I've discovered. All right, so I haven't really worked out exactly how to explain all of this, so I have my old Anker 757 and my new 767. One of the main issues that delayed the making of this video was that I couldn't get any of my air conditioners to run off of the 767. They would run fine off of the 757, but not the 767. So I contacted Anker and they decided to send me another unit, which is why I have 2 of them now. And I still had the same exact issues. So I did a bunch more testing, I sent them videos, we talked back and forth, and they tried a couple firmware updates and that still didn't fix it. So I was starting to get the feeling that there might be a component problem with the 767. However, they said they were going to continue to work on it. Anker went as far as asking me what air conditioners I was using to do the testing. And at the time, I was using a Coleman Mach 8, which was in my Cirrus truck camper, which is what I've done all the tests with. I was also using this to test with, and I have a small window AC in the Kingstar truck camper that I also tested with. None of them would run. And the behavior of the way it started up was pretty strange. In fact, let me play a clip of what it sounded like when it tried to start. I'm going to change the mode to, well, right there. Just shut off. And it is running, but then it just failed. There it goes. It just tried and it tripped out. So I'm not sure if you could really hear it, but it failed to start. It tried and then it just kind of stumbled over itself and then finally failed. They eventually sent me a firmware upgrade that did improve it. Anker's development team ended up ordering the same exact air conditioner I had on my Cirrus truck camper, which was the Coleman Mach 8, I think. Once they received it, they were able to do whatever testing they do, and then they eventually sent me an email saying there's one more firmware update that we'd like you to try. And lo and behold, they fixed it. So after, I think that was about 3 months, they were able to fix the problem. Once they confirmed that it was a real issue, they really followed through on trying to resolve it. So I was really impressed with their support in their engineering department. I did find one other YouTuber doing a review of the product that couldn't get his AC to run, but I bet if he were to retest it, it would work now. So if you already have a 767, make sure you do a firmware update. If you do buy a 767, make sure you update the firmware right away. In fact, I'll show you how to do that right now. All right, I'm going to launch the Anker app, and then I'm going to do add device, portable power station, Anker 767. I'm going to just skip the sign up process. All right, so it located it. I'm going to hit done. I haven't updated this one yet, but basically all I need to do is go into here, go over to firmware upgrade, and it says that there's a new 2.02, and the version of firmware that they fixed the AC problem was in 1.2.2, but I'm going to update to the latest version because why not? So I just hit update, select update again, and then wait. It takes a few minutes. You do need to have a connection to the internet, obviously. And while that runs, I just want to show you that it actually tells you up. It's uploading or upgrading the firmware. I've done probably 10 firmware upgrades on these because I have 2 of them, and they've been sending me firmware updates to test out, and it's really easy, works every time, I never have a problem. So we'll go back to home. It's looking good. Now that I've had the Anker 767 for about 6 months, I realized that this is going to be the perfect power supply for my trailer. I don't need to do much with it. I need to charge some batteries, I might have a bench grinder in here, maybe a drill press, something like that, some basic tools. But I'd also like to be able to run my air conditioner because in Texas it gets really hot, and if I'm going to be out here for a few hours, it would be nice to take some of the heat out of here. Because this is only 2,048 watt hours, it's not going to run that big AC for very long, but I'm really curious to see how long it will run it. Also, I have my 757, which I could use as a backup, and if I needed to, I could buy that extra expansion battery that just sits on top. So I'm thinking instead of buying a traditional RV power system with big lithium batteries and an inverter and all of that stuff, I might just use this. Because when I'm done for the day, I can either plug the trailer in and let this recharge through that, or I could just wheel the 767 home and charge it there, and because I have 2 of them, I could actually swap them out. So let me show you what my setup is on the trailer for power. Because I don't really need 30 amps, I got this 30 amp adapter. I have a 10 gauge extension cord, which right now I have plugged in. So let me steal this. I'm gonna walk my way around here. What I'm going to end up doing is I have my 30 amp supply outside, and I do have a WIFCO box. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to wire up this manual transfer switch so that I can switch between the Anker and shore power. I've made sure that it's unplugged from the back, so it's not going to try to charge itself. I'm going to turn on the AC outlets. Okay, so we have a base load of 100 watts. That's just the lights and the converter and my chargers going on here. Let me turn on the AC. The compressor did just kick on. And what do we have? So it's pulling 1,300 watts. We have to subtract 100, so 1,250. So it's 1,250 watt AC. It's gonna run for about 1.3 hours. Which I think would be perfect if I needed to work in here, which I don't generally. I usually just store tools, but if I had to work on something, I could fire that up, get some air flowing, and it'd be much more comfortable. So that's why when Anker contacted me about trying this thing out, I was kind of foaming at the mouth for it. It's really what I wanted. I like the wheels, I like the Bluetooth connectivity, I like the additional surge load. You know, 2400 watts is a lot. I really can't think of anything that would max it out, except for multiple devices. Now I did use it on a trip going up north. It was quite cold in the car, and I was able to use a little electric heater at night, and then in the morning keep the chill off. It was snowing out, it would drop down into the 20s, so I was cold at night, but in the morning I was able to fire the heater up, warm the truck up. It was a nice way to start the day. I'm gonna go plug this back into the pedestal because there's one other issue that I found. The 767 is unplugged. I have this nifty little Klein Tools outlet tester. We're gonna turn it on. I'm gonna turn the AC outlets on this. When I plug this in, it's gonna say open ground, which is actually kind of normal because it's a generator. This can't be grounded. It doesn't go anywhere. So that makes total sense. I'm gonna take the 757, I'm gonna do the same thing. And it says open ground. That's normal. If you were to plug this into like a Honda generator or something like that, you're gonna have the same issue. So I'm gonna plug the 757 into the wall. Okay, plugged in. And just to prove to you that the power coming in from the pedestal and the wall is correct, if I plug in here, you can see it says correct, I got a green light. I can go over to another outlet, say over here, I can plug in, green light, it's correct. I'm gonna test the 757. It says correct, because now it has its grounding and it's all happy. I'm gonna switch from this, I'm gonna plug it into the 767. Now it's plugged in, we have our inverter on, and I'm gonna plug this in here. And we have a red light, and it says hot, neutral, reversed. I don't think that's how it's supposed to be. It only occurs when it's plugged in, and I don't know what the electronics are doing inside, but I don't think that's correct. I think there's a problem with that. Everything still works fine though. If you plug something in, it works beautifully. I did find one other YouTuber that mentioned this, and they also said that Anker is aware of this, and if you have a unit that does it, like this one, I think you can call them up and they'll warranty it. I'm going to be finding out about that once I complete with this video. I have two of these that do it because these are the old pre-release models. Whenever you have like a pre-production run for testing, you're going to have the most problems. 6 months into it, they've solved a lot of issues. The only other issues that I know of are the XT60 branch connectors. They produce live prongs when you have multiple panels plugged in. And I believe that Anker is also working on a solution for that. That's all I can find for problems with it, and the big thing that delayed me in making this video was making sure that they could get the air conditioners working. Not that you're going to run your air conditioner all day off of this, but obviously there was an issue and they were able to resolve it. So I'm really happy about that. The 757 has been awesome. I've used this a lot, and now that I have this and it's a little easier to transport and it has a little bit more power, I'm really enjoying it. And really, these have become the power system that I use in my trailer. The only thing I have left to do, which just came in the mail a couple days ago, is this manual transfer switch. But I'm gonna remove this. That is gonna wheel under. I'm gonna back it under. I'm gonna plug a cord in, and then this is gonna go somewhere over here, and then I'll be able to just switch back and forth between shore power and the Anker. That way, when I'm on a job site, I always have power with me, and if I need to take the actual power with me, say to someone's RV or to their house, I can just wheel it with me. I just love it. I think it's great. So after a few months of not knowing if this was the unit to have, I can fully say that, yeah, this thing is fantastic. It's done everything I've asked of it. I like the way it handles things. I don't like the fact that it reduces voltage when it gets close to that 2400 watt mark. So it would be nice if maybe they had a feature in software that let you say, if you hit 2400 watts, just shut off. I don't want it to reduce voltage. I know why they do that, but I'd really like to be able to turn it off. All right, guys, so I think that's all I have for this video. I know it was a long video, but there was a lot to talk about. When I first received the 767 for testing, I was pretty disappointed that it wouldn't run my AC. However, the way Anker responded to it really impressed me. They had great follow-through. They really went the distance. They even ordered the air conditioner that I was having troubles with, and they figured out what the problem was. I will be contacting them about the reverse neutral. Maybe I'll make an update video about that. But overall, this is a really solid unit. I'm super happy with it. I think on the market, this is the unit to have. It would be nice if you could expand it beyond the single additional battery pack. I think with 1,000 watts of solar input and the fact that you can easily wheel it around and use it in different orientations, I'm going to be getting a lot of use out of this. It's going to be powering my little mobile shop, and hopefully I'll be making more videos about that in the future. If you guys are interested in purchasing a 767, I'm gonna leave links down in the description. If there's any active discounts or promos going on, I'll leave those down there as well. If you guys found this video helpful or informative, please give it a like and consider subscribing. Also, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. These wheels are very high quality. They're silent and they spin well. And according to the documentation, they're rated for up to 186 miles of travel. Now, I would love to know how they test that. Do they just do it on a treadmill, or do they actually like drag it behind a car or something to see how many miles it'll last?